All right, everyone, it's time for a dummy missile strategy. Operation Block ICEBlock. Link in the description, archived, of course. ICEBlock is an app that you can get on your phone, and you can very helpfully report where an ICE officer is located so that illegals within the area know to flee, and Antifa members know to attack. What if we were to overload that system completely with thousands and thousands of false reports so that they were unable to respond? This is something that I've talked about before with regards to nuclear warfare. Imagine that the United States wants to nuke another nation, and the nation has any form of air defense whatsoever. If you just send in a bunch of nukes, they're probably largely going to be taken out, assuming that the air defense is any good whatsoever. But let's say that 10 to 1 you fire off dummy missiles. They look like the real thing. They're simply packed with mundane explosives. I mean, they'll still do damage when they hit, but they're not nuclear weapons. The enemy's air defense is thereby overwhelmed because there are too many missiles incoming for them to actually take them all down. It's the dummy missile approach. This is the strategy that we need to employ against the ice block bullshitters. And they are bullshitters. These are the Martha's Vineyards kids that love migrants in the United States, but they don't want them in their communities. They're the people that I hate most, which is why I have a personal vendetta in this particular exchange. These are the NIMBYists. These are the white middle and upper middle classers who vote for liberal policies but don't want those liberal policies to impact their community. I love nuclear energy. Just don't put the nuke plant too close to me. I love migrants, but I'm not going to home them in my house, even though I've got 5 spare bedrooms and shit like that. I love the United States. I just want to transform it into a communist dystopia, which is exactly what many of these illegals are trying to get away from. I want to address, though, the illegal immigrants first. And some of you probably watch the fucking channel. I have sympathy for many of you. Some of you are escaping socialist and totalitarian regimes in search of a better life. I have sympathy for you. You've come here with children, or you've had children in the United States. Um, I do not believe in prioritizing their deportation, but your communities are being infested by the same people that you tried to get away from. Cartel members and terrorists and terrible things like commies and things like that. People that do not have your best interests in mind. Help ICE. Get the app and overload it. Make it useless. Make it so that it no longer functions. If Antifa gets 7,000 hits across Portland, for example, today, with regards to ICE deportation proceedings or something like that. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to bootstrap the app onto my computer, so I'm lending a hand by simply talking about the idea at the moment. I'll try that later. The Lord knows whether I'll be actually successful in doing so. I know you can emulate Android on your computer. I'm not very good with these things, though. So, give me a while. I'll see what I can do. If you overload them with so many hits that it's impossible for them to actually respond to them, well, this will stop violence. It will also help to clear out the people that are being prioritized, which are mainly cartel members, terrorists, and things like that. If all the cartel members and terrorists and so forth were gone from the immigrant communities, most Americans would have much less of a problem with immigrants now, wouldn't they? You're like, oh, these are all law-abiding folk. There's a mother of three, and there's a dude who's, started a business and stuff like that. You would benefit as well. So I suggest that we all overload this app as much as possible. By the way, maybe against the TOS, but it's not against the law. It is perfectly legal to file a false claim of seeing an ICE officer. Because who knows? That dude in the red shirt over there, he might be an ICE officer. Well, you just suspect he happens to be an ICE officer. Plausible deniability. plays a big role in the law, by the way, and things like that. So that would be my suggestion. It's been suggested by several people who messaged me, actually, and it sounds like a good idea. Let's fuck them in the mind. This is psyops mode. Psyops, because physical wounds heal. And the left is terrible at dealing with this sort of thing. Look at how centralized this is. Apparently, you can sign up anonymously. Basically, just run it through a VPN and just make random reports, all day if you want to. I'm going to sit here and do the same thing. I'm going to try to get the app and I'm going to call in all sorts of reports across Burlington or something like that. Antifa members then will infiltrate local facilities only to find, hey, it's a bakery. We are selling donuts. Very interesting. They'll waste their time and eventually they will peter out. The left is very, very bad at dealing with this kind of psychological warfare. They're desperately bad at dealing with partisans. They're terrible at dealing with guerrilla warfare. They're much better at dealing with pitched battle. In pitched battle, the left wins 9 times out of 10. They're basically like the British when they were at their peak. Whereas those of us who are the actual hashtag resist, we are much more like the partisans or the Minutemen or something like that. We're much better at waging a long-scale battle in which disproportionate warfare is slowly worn down. Oh, you've got a ship there. It'd be a terrible shame if when it came into dock somebody tossed a firebomb up on the deck. Well, that only requires one person. They just destroyed an entire ship. That's basically the way that it's working right now within US politics. The left has become disproportionately centralized, very inefficient and weak. It almost harkens back a little bit to the Roanoke era. If you know anything about the Roanoke colony, one of the reasons why Raleigh couldn't go back was because the Spanish Armada was coming around the time that he returned to England. England had a far smaller fleet, but its ships were smaller and more efficient and much faster. And so they could run rings around the old Spanish galleons. They didn't even lose a single ship. They sank half the Spanish Armada and jollied them on their merry way. That's the way that we need to fight battle. We need to fight it partisan style, hand to hand, and cyber to cyber, I suppose, as you will. That's about all. Peace out.